Stalker, Giant Stalker, Dragon Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grom Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a pony, Elite Skill Hunter, a Death Dealer, a Life Stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 224 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from Thrill of the Wild, the Warcraft Hunters Union, and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
All right, today is Sunday, September the 6th, 2015, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Alessander, is there to take your questions. And after, it feels like it's been a month, and maybe it's close to a month, a little bit of a unplanned hiatus. We are back finally with the show, and hopefully we'll stay on track from here on out, leading all the way up to BlizzCon. But we got a good show for you today. We've got some BlizzCon news and information to pass along. We've got DragonCon information to talk about, a little more information for Legion, and then we can probably just recap a lot of the stuff that we know about Hunters so far in Legion. So I'm looking forward to today. So first up, we have one announcement. Our very own Frostheim. Everyone remembers Frostheim, the original host of the show. He got married a couple weeks ago. He tweeted us, and so someone finally tamed him. So congratulations to Frostheim. Well deserved. So BlizzCon. So let's talk about BlizzCon. We think we finally have some BlizzCon Hunter party plans, as it were. I know. Yes. I know, Delirium. Now you're going. Are you going, Bendak? Were you trying to go, or?
No, I'm not going.
Oh, you're not going. We should find a way to drag you out there.
Darkbrew, you'll be there this year?
I will be there this year. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So that has not changed. So I'll be there this time around. And
wait, is this your first, or you went back in the day?
No, I've never been to a BlizzCon whatsoever. So this will be my first BlizzCon.
All right.
In fact, I haven't really been to many of these types of things in general. But earlier this year, I went out to Anaheim to the Star Wars celebration, which was also at the Anaheim Convention Center. So kind of got the lay of the land and kind of sort of know a little bit about what to expect and what it'll be like. So I'm very much looking forward to it this time around.
Yeah, it's looking to be a good party. I don't know if they've been fully funded, but some of the folks from the Warcraft Hunters Union, Foxy and I think Artemis have been working hard on this. They've got lanyards for us again this year with a new design, and they've got some, I don't know what you call those things. They're like rubber bracelet things. I don't know. A bunch of Warcraft Hunters Union swag to be handed out. The shirts, it looks like the design has been finalized, and they're starting to put up links for a store soon where anybody can order Warcraft Hunters Union shirts for this year's BlizzCon. But yeah, it's looking to be a good time.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. There was a post. I think it's still there. I don't know why it's not on the front page of the Warcraft Hunters Union. We'll put a link in the show notes here. But yeah, Foxy went and posted something over at the Warcraft Hunters Union yesterday with a lot of details about what's happening at BlizzCon, which did mention a lot of things that you had talked about. Such along the lines that the donors will be guaranteed the promised swag. So I think she said that they have reached their goal donation for the swag. So, and Foxy has sent out thank you notes for everyone. But you can still donate if you want to contribute that. It's not too late to help fund the event. So,
yeah, and if you want to, we didn't realize how big of a cut GoFundMe was going to take. So now that we've reached our regular goal, send one of us a message and we can contact you over PayPal and do this for free. So your whole donation can go toward the cause.
Yeah, and I don't know how quickly Synth could put something up on the Twitch site, but we'll keep talking. Maybe you get a chance to do that. But the T-shirt design for this year is awesome. It's really nice. It was done by someone, Julie Leah Lanier. You can follow her on Twitter at Zoezazu. It's Zoezazu, and she did the design for the T-shirts this year, and it looks really nice. It's got pictures of I believe they're the artifact weapons.
Yep.
All three of them, and then sort of a Legion sort of fell colored design of the part of the hunter logo. It's very clean. It's very 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 well done, and it's awesome, really. I don't know where they got the image for the gun. I mean, because all we had seen was sort of a low res image of it, but she seemed to manage to kind of clean it up and make it look much nicer than the version that was presented a while back.
Yeah, it all looks pretty good to me. I'm getting more excited about that spear. It looks cooler than I originally thought it did, especially with the WHU logo. So it's all pretty fun. I'm really looking forward to the party. Everybody in their WHU shirts.
So has that been finalized too? Do we know when the events are going to be?
Yeah.
What day, what time, or are we still hashing that out?
I have been offline for about the last week or two with moving to a new apartment, so I am not really caught up. I don't know if we're finalized or not. But, regardless, I'll be in the Hilton bar most every night, so just, we'll make a hunter party happen wherever we are.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as will I for sure. So there'll always be some opportunity to meet and talk World of Warcraft, hunters, and everything else that's going on. Just back to the T-shirt real quick. I believe the store is open, and I looked at it yesterday. Yeah, they have more than just a T-shirt. They have other things that you can purchase if you want with this logo on there, so you don't have to limit yourself to just a shirt. They have different kinds of shirts and bags and things like that you can customize a little bit and have this awesome design. But the design does look very cool. So we'll get more details, and then in the upcoming shows we'll start to let you know when the official sort of hunter meetup will be and what time and how long and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to BlizzCon, and I think it should be good. And now that they've announced the expansion in Legion, we should hopefully get a lot of good strong information being revealed at BlizzCon this time around. We got a little bit over the weekend. At DragonCon, was it an official Blizzard panel, or was it just like they sent one guy down there to talk about Legion and World of Warcraft?
Yeah, it sounds pretty unclear whether this is official information or not, but it was interesting information regardless. Hopefully we're finding out things that are accurate.
Yeah.
They said that it was unofficial. He just likes to talk, and he just happens to be there every year, and so he just answered a bunch of questions. But it was not an official thing.
And who was the he in question here? Do we know? I can't remember who was it.
Was Crafticus?
Was it Crafticus? Yes.
He's
Yeah.
a senior game designer
Okay.
or developer.
Cool. So what are some of the things, do you want to talk about a little about what we learned something cool about survival and one of its key abilities? Bendak, why don't you talk about that one for a bit?
Yeah, survival's going to get, he called it a harpoon ability that will pull targets towards you. So it sounds exactly like DK Death Grip to me. But
Except
cooler 'cause you're a
without
hunter.
using magic, it's going to be much more like Scorpion from Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Get over
Get
here.
over.
Yeah, right. and players are going to hate it, by the way, because no one likes to get death gripped, life gripped, all that stuff. It's just awful.
Yeah, I just hope we have like a multi-shot harpoon. So pull in multiple.
Yeah.
Could be a new survival talent.
Yeah, I know. I was really hoping that we'd get something that pulled us to them. And I'm imagining that would be too similar to the... it's already at risk of being similar to rogues, and that might be too similar to sidestep or shadow, whatever they have.
Oh, we
So,
still have
just to
disengage.
get
I assume we'll still have disengage survival hunters.
Yeah,
We'll
let's
still have
hope.
that. And while you can't target any specific mob or player, you can certainly jump in their general direction towards them.
Do any other melee classes have an escape ability like that, though? It seems kind of weird for melee.
Well,
Disengage.
demon hunters do.
True.
And they get they have like the double jump or something like that. Is that what you're talking about, or they have?
No,
something
they have
that's
something
different?
that's basically disengage, like a backflip something. I can't remember. They talked about it at Gamescom.
But I think you're right. I don't know. I'm not aware of anything else that other melee classes have to kind of escape from someone beating on them. And so we may
It
be.
might make sense for survival because they have their pet too, so they can keep their pet in range and then duck out for a second to recover or whatever, and then go back in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't really think about that concept with the pet, and so maybe, you're beating on something, and the pet maybe has enough damage left in him to finish him off. You can just, disengage out and move on to something else.
Yeah, I saw somebody on the forums wrote a suggestion that was something to the extent of they really wanted, instead of a harpoon, to have their pet would just clamp on and drag the person back. I think that would have been kind of sweet, but it might have taken a while.
Yeah, it'd be like
quicker.
Like the old Stampede, how that was originally implemented, where the pets kind of started next to you and made their way to the boss and everyone, which looked cool, which made a lot of sense, but then it was just too much of a DPS loss to be viable.
Yeah.
So they mentioned multi-strike was going to be removed, and that other secondary stats were going to get looked at. Anything surprising about that? I mean, it is survival's attune stat, but maybe they're going to change attunements altogether. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows if we'll have attunements, but I think that's the right call. Multi-strike is the exact same ability as crit. It's just another diluted version of crit, so I don't see the point of having it in there.
The only thing cool about it was seeing like multiple spells cast, but you never really could see it anyway because they were so close together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have time to look at those things when raiding or anything anyway, so...
Maybe casters see it more, but...
Yeah, maybe, with their big, bright stuff. I can't see the little arrows going out anyways.
No, and I'm not sure how that would look from a melee perspective either. I mean, you're going to see yourself do an extra swing or what that would be or how that would kind of play out.
Yeah.
So it's just as well. I mean, we had a lot of new secondary stats and tertiary stats. I wonder if they'll look at those too. It just seemed like it. I don't want to say it got out of hand, but I don't know that it was as special as they would have liked either.
Yeah, I have a feeling. This isn't coming from any dev, but my suspicion is one of the reasons they wanted to introduce new secondary stats is to lower the amount of inflation that's happening. So if you only have 3, you're going to get a lot of each stat. Especially so if you're a crit heavy, it used to be normal for people to have 75% mastery, or you could get up to 50% crit pretty quickly if that's what you were stacking. And so if you have 5 stats or however many we have now, you get a little bit of each and not a ton of one for the most part. So I think that was kind of their goal. But then with multi-strike and crit working exactly the same, it actually ended up that you had, because they kind of multiply together in their damage, so you had more inflation than we had in the first place. So, meh. Yeah, hopefully versatility's gone too. Who wants that?
That seemed like on paper anyway, it seemed like it would be a good stat to have, right? It was just a % increase to damage and so forth. That it just,
right.
What's bad about that? But it turned out to be a very kind of mediocre stat throughout this whole expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's ever been bad for hunters. It's just kind of boring. It's nothing fun about it.
I think it might have been a better stat if the damage reduction was also like a full % per point.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because the damage reduction is so low, it's not even a factor in the stat, really. I guess maybe for PvP, but I don't know.
But certainly for raiding, that would have been nice too. I mean, because there are a lot of encounters in Hellfire Citadel where there's a lot of damage going out, a lot that can be avoided, and that would certainly help, make life a little bit easier, make the healers' lives a little bit easier.
Avoidance gives you a lot of damage reduction. If you have it on a couple pieces, you easily get like 10% reduced AoE damage, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, I think the problem for me is that those tertiary stats just seem to be so few and far between.
That's why they buffed them like a couple patches ago, because you often only get 1 or 2 items with the stat on them. But have you got that trinket from Doomlord Kazak? It's got
yes.
It's a capped amount of avoidance.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of fun actually.
But
it's so much speed.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. If that would be, I mean, do you use it in raid at all, or is it just not nearly as good as what you can get in a raid? I'm assuming it's not. It doesn't really seem to math out very well. But outside a raid, it seems like it would be kind of fun just to bring that around and run around with.
Basically, mountain runs. Get through the
Yeah.
raid quicker.
And I wonder about the
aspect of the cheetah, the glyph, plus that
Right.
trinket, and you're running around like 160%.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And I suppose you could probably use it. Might be some benefit to using it in time walking, or does it just get nerfed too much in time walking the stats? I wonder.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It probably just gets nerfed.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense. So, then what else did they mention? They mentioned that most specs are going to get overhauled to better fit the fantasy of the spec. I saw that over on some of the notes from MMO Champion, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, we know survivals getting to say he's getting an
Slight
overhaul
change.
is an understatement, to be sure. But it made
I
me
think
wonder about
survival's
the other
like the
two
biggest
specs.
overhaul.
Yes. Yeah.
So the other ones will be getting overhauls, just not to that degree, like where you change a role.
Yeah, so I just sort of wonder what they mean. I wonder what kind of changes they'd have in store for beast mastery or marksmanship. Well, we know for marksmanship, obviously, you're not going to be able to have a pet. I guess that's pretty significant. But beyond that, I wonder what other changes they might want to make that would be overhaul, worthy of the overhaul tag.
Well,
I don't know.
Marksmanship is going to need some other tools probably now that they don't even have the option for a pet. Just to be better in like a solo environment and stuff like that.
Right, and that was one of the things we sort of complained about this expansion a little bit. There were a number of talents that they wouldn't benefit from. Spirit Bond, and what was the other one? Dire
Master's-
things like Master's Call. Yeah. So things along those lines, and I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do that because we've kind of gotten by with it for now, but still, it would be nice to feel more, like a more complete spec by having the same utility as the other two specs.
Well, we've gotten by with it, but not to the point. I don't think many people use it out in the world unless they completely outgear the stuff and just one-shot it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still fun every once in a while. When I was doing Apexis dailies way back when, it's fun to try out, see what you can do.
Right, but if you commit to it because all these artifacts and stuff, you're going to commit to marksmanship, so you kind of not want to feel bad when the new Timeless Isle, whatever, opens and the enemies are really hard and you can't kill stuff as fast as the other specs because you don't have a pet to tank for you. So I think they'll definitely get some new tools.
And then Beast Mastery, I mean, I'm sort of hard pressed to think what needs to really change there. That's always sort of felt like the most complete spec right now of the hunter specs. That I don't know that it needs a major overhaul at this point. Obviously, we everyone wants the damage of the three to be equal across the board if possible.
Yeah, I don't think they'll change it that much. It's kind of like the last true hunter spec. So they'll keep like I don't know, they might fine tune some things, but I think the basic, your pet is dealing a lot of damage. Feel is going to be there.
I still really hope they get rid of Arcane Shot or just rename it to something else. I'm tired of having a magic ability.
Yeah. Well, another thing they mentioned was some specs would be getting renamed, and even their resources would be renamed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a possibility for survival if they give it something else besides focus. But it might just behave the same way, but it's
that'd be
just a
weird.
different name.
Yeah, I see, and I don't know if they need to change the resource name. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling it Focus, to be honest. But survival as a name for the spec probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that would need to be changed.
Yeah, as long as traps are still a part of it, and if they give them some kind of avoidance mechanic, which most melee have, survival makes sense to some extent. I don't know. I don't know if focus is an aiming ability, kind of, right? That's at least the idea when they switched us from mana.
Kind of, but our pets have always used focus.
Oh yeah, our pets do too. So yeah, I guess it makes sense for melee too. Huh. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the resource that we have really conveys being a hunter as it is. I mean, it's just something we have. I mean, it's focus is better than mana, but I don't know, what else you would want to call it or create it to make it feel more like a hunter, unless you just want to call it ammo or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes, I guess, out of all the specs, it makes the most sense for me for marksmanship, because you're always standing still and getting focused.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, survival is just sort of like we've talked about lore perspective when we think of Rexar and the boss Beast Lord Darmak. So I don't know I don't think Beast Lord spec would be good for it, because I don't think that would adequately describe it. And I don't know that Rexar has a title per se.
Right.
So I don't know.
He does. It's like Champion of the Horde, right? That could be our new spec.
Champion of the Horde. Oh no. Or Champion of the Horde, Champion of the Alliance. Yeah.
No, just Horde, sorry. Sorry, dwarves. You'll have to play BM more.
Well, I think people might play BM more with these changes. I mean, I have to say, even though I'm still not sold on the idea of playing a melee hunter, and I know I have to see it in order to make that decision, but
what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my hunter alts, and that'll be my melee hunter.
Yeah, so I did last night. I actually got the agility axe, I think, to drop. So I now have 2 agility weapons, melee weapons. So I might try some melee BM hunter here in BRF, see what I can pull off. But it's really not going to be as novel or fun once it's a real thing I can do. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I remember somebody doing that last expansion off the shaman and
the dark shaman.
The dark shaman in Siege of Orgrimmar.
Yeah, and it was pretty easy in heroic, now mythic gear to get 250k DPS just out of your hunter glaives and your melee hits. But I don't know. BM pets do a lot of damage.
They do. Yeah, I've got a feeling that is probably going to be my go-to spec in Legion. I mean, I've always sort of favored BM as it is, and I can't imagine preferring marksmanship over that.
Man, it's kind of going to be a big choice. I mean, there's going to be catch-up mechanics for your other artifacts, but that's only for like the artifact points, not the actual quality of your weapon, like with the relics that you get from drops. So,
yeah, if they do as poor of a job of balancing as they have in Warlords, it's going to be terrible for hunters. I mean, if they do as good of a job as they did in Mists, then it'll be great. We have no idea what it's going to look like, though. We have to switch to survival because it's the only viable DPS spec.
At least now, if we have to switch, it's easy because we can just take our weapon with us.
Right.
Now that's not the case. Even if you're switching between the 2 range specs, you might have your BM gun to like, I don't know, certain like 800 eye level, and then your marksmanship bow is like 700 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's hope not, because my gun's already over 700.
You know what I mean? It's just like a big gap.
Yeah,
exactly. And of course, hunters, we're not the only classes that will struggle with this. I mean, druids and shaman, and they'll also run into those same issues potentially too. But hopefully they'll take that into account. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to plan to at some point get those artifact weapons and keep them upgraded as best you can for all 3 of your specs, which sounds like it'd be a lot of work. More.
That's a huge amount of work when you think about it. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be too bad if you're redoing like early bosses in a raid and you get if you can get additional relics to drop and just save them for your other spec. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, one possible solution to that, which I can't imagine they would do, would be to allow you to collect them through LFR. I mean, that would be one way, but they have a tendency to not like to make LFR feel like it's mandatory, and it would definitely feel mandatory if they did that, I think.
Well, I think you'll be able to get them in LFR, just be lower
you
power
will?
than.
Lower power, yeah.
You have to look at relics as basically like the replacement for weapon drops. That's basically what they are, because they're what's going to give your weapon more DPS and more stats.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that'll be a lot of work. It was so unclear from what they said with catch-up mechanics, but
catch up, I think,
I'm
refers
not
to
looking forward to it.
to the artifact points, the things that unlock the little weapon talents.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably not, it's probably won't just be weapons either. It'll be, so now we'll have that problem with the weapons. We'll have this problem with probably the gear and the stats on the gear too, especially, depending on what we may need, still want to look at different gear sets, if you're trying to min max for the various specs this time around too.
Well, I guess the armor's not much different than it is today, though. Because if you're coming from Beast Mastery and going to marksmanship and you had a ton of mastery gear, it wasn't ideal.
Yeah. And I imagine that'll probably stay the same or be the similar issue that we have today. I don't think that'll change. I mean, obviously, survival will still be wear mail and be agility. I don't think they're going to try and change that up any and, make strength their primary stat or something awful like that. That would be horrible.
On the other hand, maybe people will be less likely to, jump on the flavor of the month spec if they're already invested. And like, well, I guess I don't have to bother switching for that extra 5%.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if the gap isn't,
Yeah, as long as it's not
all that great, then
yeah.
that'll be fine. You're just gonna say you just deal with it. And that type of pain will just be the purview of the world first raiders. They'll be the ones that will maybe struggle with that, and the rest of us can just hey, play what we want and know that it'll be enough to kill the bosses, to progress and get all the gear and loot and have all the same amount of fun that we're having now.
Yeah, so unless they do something like completely amazing with like marksmanship or survival, I'd definitely be BM, I think.
I agree. I'm leaning towards BM with marksmanship being the secondary spec, and just probably dabble in survival. Just to say I did it. Although if I'm lucky enough to get into the beta again this time around, that's probably where I'll do all my survival play testing. So I'll hopefully I'll know ahead of time whether I'm not even going to touch it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll just really hit a home run and it'll be this amazing spec that's lots of fun and still feels like a hunter. Maybe. Saying maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Keep an open mind.
Yeah. Just start standing in front of the bosses with the other melee when you raid now, just to get a feel for it.
Yeah, I have spent a lot of time making fun of melee because they just have to stare at the boss's butt. So I'm a little bit worried I'm going to have to eat my words.
But it'll be different. In strategy wise and everything else, it'll feel different too. I think of some of these fights where being ranged really comes in handy, especially with target switching. I mean, that's where we really shine. Fights like, what is it, Iron Reaver, where you got to nuke the bombs and that air phase. I mean, it's great being a hunter for that. A ranged hunter, I should say.
Yeah. In neither of my guilds do they have a shaman or a druid DPS who switch back and forth between melee and ranged. The boomkins that also play feral equally well, or vice versa. You don't really see that a lot, so I wonder if hunters can make that happen. Where you can do what's really best for that raid. Not that we've ever had a fight in the last couple of years that have been beneficial to be melee, but maybe.
One of the notes they did mention here too is there's going to be no new major glyphs coming in Legion, which I guess.
So was that no new or just major glyphs were going away?
No new.
Oh,
No.
I totally misunderstood that.
No, there'll still be major glyphs. They're not changing the glyph system. They're just not going to introduce new major glyphs or add an additional glyph slot, for example, or anything like that. I don't think. But But I mean, I wonder I haven't really thought about this yet, but what the impact for survival might be. I mean, do all those major glyphs going to still apply to survival? I'm just trying to think what abilities
Yeah,
tend to.
I imagine this must have been the case of that whoever was there just saying something and it kind of being taken out. Because what, demon hunters aren't going to have any then? There's got to be some new glyphs. So I assume a new spec like melee survival would have to as well.
Yeah, I think
We'll
that
see.
there'll be an exception. I think they'll have to get something. You know, because
Yeah.
each spec has like at least one glyph that's for that spec.
Right.
There's a Chimera Shot and Beasto Wrath glyphs. So, wait, does Survival even have one right now? Maybe they don't.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Poor Survival.
I don't know unless they have something that, right? Because honestly, I don't know that they well, early in the expansion when I did play survival, I don't think there was any. The glyphs were the same. The ones I were choosing for rating were the same for all three specs, so it didn't matter much.
I guess a lot of the ones that are there now would work fine. I can't think of anything that. So maybe there doesn't need to be new ones.
I mean, we have
Yeah.
we have the glyph of deterrence. We've got one for disengage. Trying to think what else I use. Because I don't even pay attention to them, right?
Camo still could be the same.
Yeah.
All those traps, the
Right.
glyphs that affect traps are the same. Glyph of aspect of the pack, still the same.
Don't forget the lean pack.
That's the one I was thinking of, the lean pack.
Yeah.
That's
Great use of a major glyph slot.
I know. So and they didn't talk about minor glyphs at all, whether or not they would introduce new ones. But I don't, minor glyphs are great. Some of the way they do some of those, especially the cosmetic ones. So I would think it'd be fun if they did introduce minor glyphs.
I hope we get some cool ones because I think we're a little lacking on minor glyphs compared to some classes. We got like the play dead glyph, which is really fun, and then
Yes.
we got like the fireworks glyph, and trying to think what else.
It also makes you wonder too. And maybe we can talk about professions here a little bit, but I wonder how does that sort of make inscription a little less useful, since that's the main thing that they craft are these glyphs, and if they're not going to really introduce a lot of new ones.
Yeah, they're also there's no more crafted weapons either, so that's another thing taken away from inscription.
Mm-hmm.
They got Dark Moon cards. That's still going for them.
Yeah, and that's usually only in the beginning of the expansion. I mean, even with the upgrade system that they had this time, I don't think the Dark Moon trinket really fared all that well as we progressed into this expansion.
Not after Heimel.
No. So it's really just like an early expansion sort of trinket that usually, works out pretty well. But what else did they say? So you're still going to be able to, you still have crafted gear though. You said no weapons, but you're only going to be able to equip 3 crafted pieces, just like we were in Warlord. So that itself isn't changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they mentioned there would be no more crafting, no more daily cooldowns for crafting, which is, I think that's a nice change.
Yeah, no more or very few, they said, or something like that. The way you upgrade your crafted gear is different too. You have to destroy you have to destroy other pieces of crafted gear to get a new material, and that's what you use to upgrade. It's called like a Bliterium or something like that.
Yeah. But so BM Yeager was pointing out in the chat room a good point. He said, yeah, no engineering gun this time in Legion. Yeah, we've always sort of counted on the crafted weapon from engineering at some point.
Yeah, the thing saved my butt this expansion.
Yeah,
my Alliance Hunter is still using it as well. It is not fun.
No, I've got it
ready for a real weapon.
Upgraded to 705, but I've been using that for a while. So we'll see. We finally started progressing in heroic now, so that's encouraging. Taking us a while to get there, but it's good though. That means we still have a lot of fresh content, if you will, to kind of keep us going for a while.
How far are you?
We're working on Iron Reaver right now, but I think we're close to killing him. I think we'll get him. Just people need to pay attention to where they're standing. Is ultimately what it comes down to right now. People aren't respecting the 8-yard range for those whatever the orbs that they toss out there. So people are getting multiple stacks of that, and it's It's annoying.
Yeah, the barrage thing, a lot of people get hit by that because it's so hard to tell where it's going to hit.
It is. You kind of have to look at his feet a little bit, I think, to see. But yeah, that. So those are the things we're working on there and getting used to. But I think we're close now. I think we're at a point where people can survive phase 1 and then should be able to kill all the bombs and then be able to finish them off again after that. But one of the things I was thinking maybe for professions they might want to think about doing is, if we're not, even if we're not things like weapons and they're not going to be crafted weapons, but I'm wondering if they should allow those professions to make like transmog gear and maybe come up with a sort of a transmog set for
Yeah,
each
that'd be
profession.
fun.
That might be a good use of professions.
They've basically done away with gold making from professions, it seems like. Gold is basically free now, from garrisons at least. So I'm really curious how much of a uptake it'll take without garrisons. We'll need crafting again.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because they haven't said they're going to nerf garrisons, but one you would think they probably will. Otherwise, we'll just be hanging out there in our downtime, running those gold missions.
Yeah, they're going to nerf that.
So that'll have to change.
Yeah, well, they also said they're have like a huge team on professions this time around, so it could be completely different, like than what we're expecting.
Yeah.
So who knows what it's going to be like? But yeah, I agree. Transmog would be nice, especially if it like was themed to like the profession. Like the engineer transmog was like this. You had like gears and stuff on your rotating on your shoulders or something.
Exactly. That would be very cool. I would love that. And they're going to make changes to the transmog system too. I think one of the things they mentioned that the items will be account wide going forward in Legion, that's awesome. That's a great change right there for us who have like 10 hunters,
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Like all my alt hunters are gonna have like full transmog now. I wonder too if you got like the challenge mode armor or weapons, if like other hunters on your account could also use that.
I would hope so, and I would think so. They did. I think there was a note in there saying that the class must still be able to wear certain items. Meaning, I assume if you have like hunter specific tier gear, that you can't dress your shaman up,
right?
In that, presumably. If that class wasn't able to get the item, then so I would think. To me, that would make it sound like that the challenge mode gear would be perfectly acceptable to be part of the system, and that you could transmog your hunters, your other hunters. And transmog doesn't have a level restriction, right? That's just a feature of the game that you can experience at level 1, right? Or is there?
I know you can transmog at level 1. I can't remember if you're still limited by the level of the original gear that you're transmogging into.
Okay, maybe. Otherwise, you could do some pretty cool outfits at level 1 now.
Awesome.
My bank ult is in like full tier gear.
Yeah, exactly. And they haven't given any details, but I think the transmog system too is it gonna destroy the item or just do something to it, right? So it's not gonna be, you no longer have to worry about having a physical item in your inventory anymore. That was my understanding.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is huge because at least the majority of my inventory issues are gear now. It's all transmog gear.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to be complaining about getting a bigger backpack anymore because there's going to be what are you going to store in there? You have a region bank now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like we went from having no space, even though they tried to clean up space for Mystic Pandaria, and now we might actually have like an abundance of space that we won't know what to do with.
You still might need 3 sets of gear, 4 sets of gear.
Yeah, maybe.
To play, just that you can't just transmog. So
I look forward to being able to actually loot stuff now. So I don't loot anything anymore because there's no room. Unless it's like something that's worth a lot of money I can sell right away.
And I wonder how that will work too. How actual gear versus transmog gear will work together. I mean, when you get an item, do you have to destroy it in order to make it part of the transmog system, or can you?
I'm not sure. It'll either be either destroyed or just by owning the piece, you unlock it, and then you can vendor it or disenchant it.
Okay, which would make sense.
Yeah, and assuming time walkers are here to stay, we might want to keep some of that old gear
Exactly.
that we can wear.
True. Yeah. So maybe it does have to be an option, because I guess there's not really much point to the void storage anymore. So maybe they could turn that NPC into the transmog NPC that you
Mhm.
where you destroy an item or whatever to add it to the system, or your wardrobe or whatever they're going to call it.
And BM Yeager is pointing out in the chat room too that you can't transmog gear that you can't wear. So if it has a minimum level and you're under that, it won't apparently won't work. So
Okay, yeah, that's good to know.
oh well.
So much for my bank alt.
But that was really all the information that I heard of that came out of DragonCon. Although there was one more note actually I'm looking at about gnome hunters in Legion, and apparently they said no gnome hunters in Legion. Sorry, gnomes, you're not part of the club yet.
Yeah, they said when it makes sense. So when is it ever going to make sense?
I know, right?
So you might as well just do it. I mean, they're the only race that can't be a hunter. Come on.
I'm fine with it. I just want to take away goblins also.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's right. The goblins can be hunters. Yeah, I don't know why they at this point they don't just make that change. There are items that can turn you into gnomes, so I guess there is that for now.
It's fun.
But yeah,
I love doing random BGs as a gnome hunter. I don't know why, it just tickles me. Good times.
There's just something cool about you being so tiny and your pet's like 10 times the size of you.
Right? So, oh well, maybe the expansion after this one, gnomes will get their chance. But for now, sorry, gnomes. But again, now that truly was it, I think, from DragonCon, unless you guys heard of any other information coming out of there. But
well, they did tease one big thing. He said that there's going to be something called adventure mode, and that's all he said. He didn't say what it's going to be or anything. We have to wait till BlizzCon.
That is interesting. I wonder what that could be, adventure mode. I don't know. Could be anything, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people are speculating because there's an adventure mode in Diablo, right?
Okay.
And that's basically adventure mode in Diablo is after you finish the main story, like all the acts, you can just go anywhere in the world and do like these little missions and stuff like that. And it's just a better way to get gear.
Oh.
And like you say you complete a set of missions in an act, and it gives you a key to open a rift, which is like a special zone, which has extra loot, stuff like that. So who knows what it's going to be. I remember them saying at the Q&A back at Gamescom, they're like, or one of the interviews, what the interviewer asked, what's like your favorite feature coming? And they're like, we can't talk about that yet.
Oh yeah, right.
So maybe that's it.
Interesting. So we'll have to wait and see. Then I guess. I mean,
BlizzCon should be fun.
You know,
gotta save something big for BlizzCon.
They do. So
and hopefully that's when the beta comes out. I don't want to wait any longer than BlizzCon.
Well, they did say the beta would be this year, so
that's true. They did mention it being 2015, so there's not too much more time. So it would make sense that they would do that right after BlizzCon. You know, I mean, obviously they want to try and get this out during spring or early summer of next year. So the sooner they start the beta, the faster that can happen. And what do they do for beta? They usually do about 6 months of beta, typically, I think, around that.
I think Warlords is about 5, yeah.
Yeah, 5 or 6 months.
Not too bad.
Could be quicker this time, who knows.
Right, but if they need to allocate that amount of time for the testing, then yeah, you really do want to start it in November, December timeframe in order to get it out at a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I have a feeling it won't be before BlizzCon because then everything will get data mined before BlizzCon.
Right. Yeah, right. No, that's a good point. But like I said, yeah, and the betas, yeah, it's fun and it can be exciting. It's a great way to do something new and different, but it's still not everybody gets into the beta, and it's not exactly a replacement for the current game, which is going to I think it's starting to get stale for a lot of players right now,
Yep.
and it's only going to get worse as we go on. I mean, you talked about you're backing away from doing some of the mythic stuff right now, Bendak, and you're taking a more casual approach. So, I mean, you're more or less in true end game mode. I mean, but end of expansion mode, I should say, right now.
Yep. I just want to say too, like, if you haven't tried leveling with the flying yet, it's insane. It went from 90 to 100 in like 3 or 4 hours playtime.
Wow, that's not bad.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about flying yet, have we? It's
No,
free.
we can talk about that now. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, they obviously everyone knows flying was introduced into the game finally after a few months of waiting.
Yeah, I didn't think it would make me enjoy Draenor as much as it did. Like, I've just been having a lot of fun just flying around exploring. Even, if I'm just doing something in my other monitor, I might just fly around and look at stuff. I spent a good while flying around Highmaul, the outer world area, because I'd heard there were new rares or something back there. But I didn't realize how huge it was. It's a huge raid area, but when you're in it and can't move around, it's seems kind of tiny. But that whole area is just ridiculously big. It was a lot of fun to see it from the outside. I wish I had seen it while it was still current and we were raiding there. Would have felt a lot different, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't flown out there or tried to do those rares yet. I mean, are they? I assume they're not too difficult.
Yeah, they're all very simple for hunters. Can't imagine anybody has.
They're supposed to have pets, but I know they're supposed to have pets, and you've killed a few. What else did you get from them, Bendak?
I got one of the Empowered Apexis fragments thing that upgrades your gear to 695.
Oh, that's pretty nice because those cost what 20,000 Apexis crystals, I think, to buy one of those. So that's pretty
and they're
cool.
BOA, so you can send them to an alt.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice they had those. I did get my Booterang.
Yeah.
Always good to have.
Yeah, I got the Booterang as well. So can that only be used in PvP or on NPCs?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, and it's since there's almost no like factions attacking each other in this expansion. Like in what was it, the turtle shell thing in Mists, and it was great because people would fly over to the other shrine all the time. And that was a common thing, and you could knock them down and make them actually fight instead of just jumping around, whatever. So I don't know, it's fun. I don't think the Booterang will have much use. I was hoping you could dismount your friends also.
Yeah, so was I. So was I.
Oh well.
I tried. It does not work, which is too bad.
And there's those other new rares in Tanan behind the Dark Portal. They dropped these new Crash and Thrashin toys. They seem to be really rare, though. I've killed it on multiple characters every day, and I've only got one.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any, so I've killed all of them a couple times at least. Definitely didn't get any Empowered Apexis either. So
they sell for a lot too. Those toys, like last I looked, they're like 20K each.
Wow.
And there's the pets from the Nagrand ones. They sell pretty well too. They're like 5 or 6K for the pets. So
yeah. I want to go flying around Nagrand and basically cheese some of the little treasures and things that you needed the gliders for, and just
Yeah, that's where most of my XP came from, was treasures.
Was it?
Yeah, because don't forget you can also upgrade the heirlooms to 100 now, so you got all the bonus XP on those, and then you got the potion from your garrison.
Mm-hmm.
So you loot a treasure, and it's like, bam, 3% of your level.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. I may spend some time doing that. And now to upgrade the heirlooms to 100, I mean, is it just gold for that, or can you do it with gold, I guess? And the other question is, are there items I think that allow you to do that too, correct?
Yeah, you can do it with gold. You can do it with Dark Moon tickets. You can do it with, I think you can do it with time walking badges.
Yeah, I believe the time walking badges too. Yeah.
That's another good way to gear up a fresh alt. You just do one time walking dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
You get that quest item that gives you a bunch of them. And you just go buy like 5 pieces of, I think it's like 660 or 670 gear. Get it immediately.
Yeah, so they've made alt catching up a little bit easier this time around, which is good. Yeah, so the flying is there. I like it just for the fact I can break out those flying mounts that I've been kept hidden away this whole expansion because I a lot of them I don't like their ground animation, so I don't really use them while on the ground. So I've kind of stuck to my ground mounts for the better part of this expansion. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is the class order halls, and we since Legion was announced, we've gotten some information about the Hunter Hall and where it's going to be located. So, who wants to take that? You want to mention that one, Bendak?
Sure, it's going to be in High Mountain, which is it's the zone from the trailer that has all the moose walking around in the moose torrent. So it's the moose zone. It's basically I look at it as like the Broken Isles version of Grizzly Hills. It's that same type of feel.
And I'm fine with that. I think that's probably a good choice of zone. I actually kind of like that it's in one of the new zones because I would anticipate spending the majority of the time in the new continent, in the new area for the expansion. Not that they'll probably make it hard to get to your order hall, but I think having it in one of the new zones may be a little bit more convenient than having it in a place like Grizzly Hills, which I think would have been a good option as well.
Yeah, I got no problems with it. It seems like it's going to be also that it's the same that Moose Tauren tribe is the one that gives you the survival weapons. So I imagine it's going to be somehow tied into that, like the same that Tauren. I bet you it'll have like Tauren architecture and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guess, anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. I love my Tauren hunter, so I can get on board with the Tauren themed hunters this X-Pack. They don't get too much love.
No, and I imagine they'll probably do a whole sort of hunting lodge type feel to it. I think it would make sense. A room with lots of trophy heads and things like that along the walls and so forth. I think that would be...
Well, he specifically, Ian Hazukosta specifically called it a hunting lodge, so...
Oh, did he? Okay, good.
Yeah. And it's just high up in the mountains. He said that's the only info we have.
So yeah, overall, I mean, I don't know other choices. I think Grizzly Hills, and I think Stranglethorn Vale was another one place that people mentioned as would have been a possibly a good location to put the Hunter Hall.
Yeah, meh.
I don't know. Wasn't ever sold on Stranglethorn. I mean, I know that's where you first meet Hemet Nezingwary, and he sends you on all those hunting quests. So, but still,
I think he's not even a real hunter, like the same type of hunter as us, though. He's not. He's a game hunter.
Right.
So I imagine he'll still be there in our hall. Where else are they going to put him?
I would think so too, right? I'd like to see him make a comeback. I mean, he's just one of those characters that just sort of has been part of every expansion now, so they've got to do something with him. I mean, it's almost like they ran out of ideas, ran out of stuff to do this time around. They just stuck him in the ground with nothing to do, but...
Yeah, you can get him in your garrison, but he doesn't do anything when he gets there.
But can you get him as a follower or just in the garrison? No,
you can just get him hanging out in your garrison. Okay. And he just doesn't do anything. You have to drink with him in Nagrand. You just go up there and get drunk with him, and then he shows up.
Oh, that's funny. I'll have to do that. And then Sholazar Basin, I think, probably be the other area that you could have considered out of Wrath of the Lich King as a place to put the lodge too. Another place in Northrend.
Yeah, that's all the people who are trying to go for Loch Nahak need. All those hunters in that area. Is a
lodge, yeah. I don't know where you'd quite where you'd put it in that zone. I'm not sure where it would fit. Well, I guess But I do like not having seen it yet. I think having it in High Mountain, having it in the new zone up high on a mountain somewhere would be cool. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think they made the right choice. It'll be good. I look forward to hanging out with cross-faction hunters.
I just hope they have cool stuff in there, like a really awesome stable and stuff like that. Maybe something you can do with your pets.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Have they talked much about what functionality it will provide? I know we're going to get some type of I don't know if they're not followers per se, but something along the lines of followers, right? And we're probably going to be able to send them out to do stuff for us.
Yeah, they're called champions. They're
Champions, that's right.
From what I understand, they're kind of like more lore heavy characters. And
Mm-hmm.
they kind of just they like it's a good chance Rexar will be in our class hall, and he'll be one of our champions, I'm guessing. So champions, though, they're not like followers. I think you can send them on missions, but they don't bring you back free loot. They kind of just
Right.
like scout an area.
Yeah, that's why I
Something like
thought they
that.
were just scouts more than followers.
They come back and say, and then you will follow up on their information, so to speak. And
It'd be cool if those missions, like if they scout it and then you go out there. It'd be cool. Kind of cool if they came with you as like almost like the bodyguards. Do,
right.
You know.
I think that would be fun too. So what else? I mean, do we have any other news? We haven't talked much about we haven't learned too much more about artifacts since the last time, right? We know we're going to get these artifact weapons. It's the spear and for survival, and the bow for marksman, and the gun for beast mastery. But
Yep, those are still there.
I mean, there's not much else to say about them right now, other than you can transmog. Just as a reminder, you will be able to transmog out of them if you want. Although the devs seem to think that why would you want to do that?
Right.
Because you are getting some cool weapons, and I imagine they will look pretty cool. But
There's a lot of hunters who don't like guns and a lot of hunters who don't like bows, so it's going to be weird for them.
yeah,
We're kind of in a unique position because we've always been able to swap back and forth ever since transmog came out.
Oh, really? I thought we couldn't at first.
No,
Oh. Well.
no, I think when it was
Doing it wrong.
initially, I think when transmog was initially announced, you could not do that, but that's been long since changed.
yeah, I'm not. Maybe back in Cataclysm it was like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just got early transmog.
Yeah, I believe they had some really tight restrictions on what you could and couldn't transmog, and that was one of the restrictions. But it's been lifted.
Yeah, first they lifted it for hunters, and then later I guess they did it for other classes.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I don't know. Just bow and gun it's like a totally different feel than going from like sword to polearm. I think you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, gun and bow makes sense. But I don't know what they've allowed for the spear. If you'll be able to transmog that into, will it just be pole arms, or can you? I don't know.
It's like it is today. It'll be polearms and staves.
Staves, yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't really announced if it is a polearm or not, right? They've called it a spear specifically, but we didn't get a lot of information if it fit into the polearm class.
No, we haven't. It just seems, I don't know,
Seems more
reasonable.
likely, than it would be a staff. Then again, the original Hunter Epic Quest weapon was a staff.
Yeah. But it just seems unlikely that they would introduce a brand new class of weapon just for survival hunters.
Yeah.
I guess.
Not special like demon hunters getting the glaives.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I suppose they could. I mean, maybe they will. I mean, only because since we're not getting weapon drops, but then they'd have to let you transmog it into something, right? I mean, so.
What I want to know is what they're going to do in the future expansions. Like, so you have like this awesome lore weapon. So what you're gonna go to the new expansion and just like, oh, there's a new green weapon for me to equip. It has more DPS. Or are they gonna just keep artifacts for the rest of WoW?
It's always kind of felt like that when you replace your hard-earned epics with Green Quest weapons.
Yeah, I know. I just
don't
think
think
the
it's a big
artifacts are different though. It just seems like, especially for like a paladin, it's like I'm wielding Ashbringer now.
Ah,
And now I'm using something of the monkey. So I just wonder if they're going to continue to keep that system for like the rest of Warcraft.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, will they continue to introduce new artifact weapons next time around? I mean, this is sort of the replacement, right, for the legendary Is it not? I mean, they haven't. I don't think there's
Yeah.
going to be a separate legendary item this time around. So this is pretty much it. And yeah, where do they go from here? That's a great question.
Yeah, I think I prefer this to the legendary quest system because the ring was just a disappointment. The whole thing, for me. Like the final item, the lead up to it was just kind of like, bleh.
Yeah, I mean the quest line was okay. I didn't really have any issues with that, but the item itself wasn't all that engaging.
I hate it so much. I did not think I would hate it as much as I do, but having to rely, especially on a melee, to
Yes,
use
yes,
it properly
yeah.
is so frustrating when they forget to or whatever. I don't
I
know.
know.
It is
And you're just
very
sitting there. It's like
frustrating.
you're just sitting there, like, are you going to use it? Because I'm holding on to my rapid fire here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're relying on them to push it, and you want it to be a melee, or you want it to be someone who's
Then inevitably they will push
got a
it when you've spent all your
upgraded one.
focus.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes they must be waiting for their cooldown. Oh, it's only 5 seconds. I'll just wait.
hmm
Then we're screwed. Yeah, it's been so frustrating. I don't know how they thought this would be a good idea.
And then you get the
We're gonna have to recruit. I think in both my guilds, we'll have to recruit someone just because we need a reliable melee who can do this job. It's been so impossible to get someone to. They're not used to doing anything important in melee, so here we are.
hmm And then you get someone who fat fingers it every now and then too, which happens not too often, but every now and then. Someone will key bind it next to a key ability, and then boom, the ring goes off. You're like, ugh, just like the occasional
Yeah.
bad timing on Bloodlust or Heroism or something.
Yeah, I must say the cloak was a lot cooler.
Yeah, I like the cloak too, and the cloak had a nice animation, to it, so you kind of always were reminded that you were wearing, a legendary cloak. It was fun.
Yeah, I liked the cloak as well. I liked even though I usually don't show a cape, I liked the thing that popped up behind your back, shoe in or whatever.
Mhm.
And I liked watching it sideways on like cats or I don't know, the boomkins or whatever. It was just funny.
And I wonder if they'll remove this legendary ring quest when they go into the next expansion. Didn't they take it out? Didn't they like you can't get the cloak now anymore? I don't believe.
Yeah, which was a terrible decision too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed going back and doing old content during content lulls, and I don't know why they would think it's a good idea to just get rid of it. It's something for people to do at least, since they can't produce content as fast as people consume it.
Yeah.
So hopefully
Yeah.
they leave the ring in at least. It's something for new players to do.
Yeah, because they can still have stuff for people who completed it when it was current. Like, you get a title and everything, so... You get that Legend of Pandaria title. So, I mean, stuff like that's enough just to signify that you did it when it was current. Especially if they're gonna... there was, like, talk about letting you transmog legendaries
Right.
only legendaries that weren't drops, I think they said. Ones that you had to work for.
Yeah,
Just
and
get lucky at, or no, ones you couldn't farm. That's right,
right.
like the glaives and stuff like that. So the cloak possibly could be transmogged in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And
I assume if you do that, you'll get the little effects on top of you too.
I would
That's why
think
I'd
so.
imagine they wouldn't do the animation. Then there's no point. It's not a good looking cloak,
No.
Yeah.
particularly. I just want the cool animation.
Right. So, and I presume that would mean that the bow then would not be transmoggable.
No,
Right.
though the argument for not transmogging it is it's not quite as good anymore when people are running around with these doom hammers and stuff.
Right. I was gonna say, especially with the artifact weapons, which you can transmog out of those, but you can't transmog into those. Is that how they've set it up, or?
Yeah.
Not that it matters all that much, right? But I mean, but looking ahead to the future, you won't be able to necessarily transmog into it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, but oh well. I don't think they're that particularly good looking. I don't think they're ugly, but they're not amazing. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to, wait and see one step at a time. I guess we'll have to get through Legion first before we figure out what happens after that with weapons and so forth. Which is probably what they're thinking too, right? We'll just table this till it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it might not even be a problem because I remember before Warlords we were all talking about, well, what's gonna happen to garrisons after Warlords? Now it's like they're gone, which is good.
Yeah, thank goodness. Finally gone.
Exactly. So, well, we're a little over an hour here, so I think maybe we should probably end the show for this week. Unless you guys have any other news or anything you want to share, but I think we've covered everything we wanted to for today.
Yep.
Cool. Well, on that note, you have been listening to episode 224 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
Right. Check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader, and we'll have all these links available in the show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to announce on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right, stay thirsty, my friends. Remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Siempre restar la emoción de lo salvaje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
For the horde.
Stealer, that's just the cost of being an awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer. I rock out with my lockout Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SV. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my tracks. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top the meters every fight. Raiding and cave dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malagos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Megthuridon, Saphiron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archon, Amalon, Coralon, Algalon. The faction champions, the death toll rolling on and on. Gar, Vale, Executus, Chromagus, and Jarexus. Moan, Uru, kill this. We won't stop till we kill our boss. I'm a hunter.